Click, boom. What's going on, faithfuls? The Nothing But Niners crew is here to bring you guys a very quick roster update and concern show. There have been a lot of moves that are going on that we need to discuss with you guys. So we wanted to just break this down really quick. This is not going to be a long show. We have another show coming to you guys in about 40 minutes. So make sure you guys have your notifications and everything turned on. Before we get to any of all that stuff, let's go through these formalities. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button here on the YouTube show. We appreciate that. Turn on your notifications as well. Give us a follow on Twitter and Snapchat. That handle is nothing but 9ERS. Again, that is nothing but the number 9ERS. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch. That is nothing but Niners, spelled all the way out with spaces in between. Hit us up on the website also. It is www.nothingbutniners.com. That is your main stop for most things 49ers from us here at Nothing But Niners. That's going to do it for the formalities. We're not going to plug any of the promotional stuff as far as shopping, Niners, and all that stuff, but you guys already know where to find us there. Nick, man, what's going on, bro? There's a lot of stuff going on in 49ers world, and we haven't talked much about it because of how the shows have been spread out. But before we get to the show tonight, we have a guest coming on, and I think that it would be a little awkward to have a guest sitting there while we run down 10 or 15 minutes worth of news that we should be bringing to the people who support us and watch this show.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously the official for the Mohamed Sanu signing. That is one move that the team has made public now. Obviously, he was out there at practice today wearing number 14. Looks like he's going to be wearing for the 49ers number 14. Other news, obviously, Richie James was placed on the IR with that hamstring injury that he sustained last week in week 1 against the Arizona Cardinals. Second guy, which we already touched base a little bit with the breaking news, is Richard Sherman being placed on the IR with a hamstring injury as well, looking to come back week 3. And then today's news was George Kittle not going to be playing this week. Now, Kyle Shanahan said earlier in the week that George Kittle didn't need to practice this week to play, but he would hope that he'd be out there on Friday. Looks like Kittle did not practice today, along with D Ford as well. Didn't practice again today with a neck injury. Did have an MRI of that, so I'm not sure. He hasn't been labeled as out yet, so not sure what's going on with that. That's something, that we'll need to be checking into, and we'll let you guys know as well. I think that's pretty much all of them, right? George Kittle not playing, Richard Sherman IR. Oh, Brandon Ayuk and Ben Garland have been practicing all week, not in a limited role. Dante Pettis has not cleared the concussion protocol yet, but per John Lynch, that he's close and will be playing, that John Lynch spoke about on KNBR today. Akello Witherspoon did practice yesterday in a non-contact jersey, so that's a blue jersey. But it does look like he should be able to clear the protocol. So far, if you're practicing in a blue limited jersey, you've passed 3 of the 5 things that you need to pass to come out of the concussion protocol. So, it'll be interesting to see if Akello is going to play this week as well. And like I said, George Kittle being listed as out.
So a couple of other roster moves that were made, and I'm not sure if we've discussed them in full here. The team signed 2 cornerbacks, Brian Allen and Christian Angulo, to the team's practice squad. Tim Harris Jr. was put on practice squad injury reserve. Now, that's something that's a little different to me, because what's the difference between injury reserve and practice squad injury reserve? Do you have any idea what the difference is with those? I can't hear you, buddy.
My bad.
Looked like you were giving me some deep thought too. I was like, oh.
No, I was just saying, I don't know if there's any difference. I mean, the only thing I know of is the IR is the IR. It's just usually with the IR, it's a 6-week comeback. But since COVID has been happening obviously this year, they changed those rules. And I'm not even sure if it's just because of COVID. The team is really taking advantage of the 3 weeks instead of the 6 weeks and placing guys that have muscle strains or injuries that they're just not going to be ready, so that they can call somebody up, as well as practice squad protected players. The 49ers, the first week, opted to protect 2 players. Last week, they did not. So heading into week 1, they protected 2 players. After week 1,
Yeah, they protected 4 guys, right? It
Oh,
was Kevin
I
White.
thought you can only protect 2.
I'm pretty sure it was 4. I'll double check really quick, but I'm pretty sure it was 4. I could be wrong, but I think there were 4, like Kevin White, Dante Johnson, the center guy, Grassu.
But Grasu was called up.
Right, but before they called him up, they protected him.
Right. Yeah,
Let
I
me
thought it was just 2. I thought you were only allowed to protect 2, not 4. I know that they protected Haranis Grasu the first week and Dante Johnson on week 1, and then both of those were called up. So
it says for the first time, teams can protect 4 players per week. The practice squad from being poached. Week 1 protection started coming in. Among those were, let me go to the 49ers page because we want to get those names. It was Hieronymus Grasu, Dante Johnson, Deion Jordan, and Kevin White. So they did do
Deion Jordan and Kevin White. Okay.
Right.
So there was 4 then. I just remembered 2. So yeah, I don't think there is a difference though between the IR as in practice squad IR or
like the regular. And it's just weird because they list it different on everything that I've seen. So that's why I was trying to figure out. Tony, you have any insight as to if there's a difference at all? A practice squad, like for example, Tim Harris was placed on the practice squad injury reserve list.
I really don't know, to be honest with you. I know if they do the IR on the 53, it's 3 weeks. That's why, to be honest with you, I'm not surprised Kittle's. I'm kind of surprised Kittle's not on it. But as far as the practice squad, I don't know. They changed all this shit. It's different this year.
You know, I was gonna get to what's going on with Kittle and why maybe he's not on that list. I hinted at it in the group chat. So guys, do you think that if Kittle goes on IR, his guarantees kick in?
No, I think it's career. I think like if it's a significant injury where he's not able to return, that's when that guarantee kicks in, meaning he'll get $40 million. If it's like an ACL or torn labrum and he misses a season, he makes what he makes, but he's still going to have a job next year. It's not like they're going to potentially, like you see how these guys get waived with an injury settlement.
Mm-hmm.
Like they can't do that. It'll be $40 million. That's going to be how that kicks in.
I was wondering because it doesn't make any sense that he's not on this list. I mean, unless they, I don't know. The similarities between his injury and Sherman's were a little weird. Both of them happened during the game. Both guys said that they could have returned if they needed to. Both of them tried to. And they said, all right, let's see what happens tomorrow. Both of them go to the podium and say they're fine. And then the next thing you know, neither of them are playing in the following week. Where you get what I'm saying? Like what changed?
Yeah.
And so Richard Sherman ends up on the list because he woke up feeling worse than what he was the day before. Kittle doesn't, but he also woke up feeling worse, obviously, than he was the day before. So it just seems weird. I'm trying to find the rule here for this injury reserve practice squad in this article I'm looking at, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I think Nick is looking for the same thing over there. Replacing players on the reserve. Nope. Injury reserve.
Yeah, the only thing that I can find for 2020 is obviously the provision that was already included in the new CBA enabled teams to activate 2 practice squad players per game. Injured reserve, because of COVID-19, this season NFL teams can return an unlimited number of players from injured reserve. So there's no limit. Like now, normally it was 2. You can only bring back. So there's no limit to that now, as long as they've spent at least 3 weeks on the IR. After 3 weeks, the player can return to practice. Once he returns to practice, the team has 21 days to put him back on the active roster. So another 3 weeks after that. And then game day active rosters. That's the only thing I see with IRs with the changes. Practice squad, the new CBA included a provision to increase practice squads from 10 to 12, which we knew. Maximum of 2 players having an unlimited number of accrued NFL seasons. But due to coronavirus, practice squads were expanded this year only to 16 with a maximum of 6 players with unlimited NFL experience.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about some of these other corners that may be called up. Now, we do know that Ahkello Witherspoon has cleared concussion protocol. He's got to go through his day of no contact, which is why he had the blue jersey on, and then he should be good to go for the game on Sunday. But Dante Johnson was promoted from the practice squad to the 53. I believe he will be the first reserve guy. Has anybody heard anything about Jason Verrett? What's going on with this guy?
He's out.
He's listed as out with the hamstring injury still. So, when you go back and you talk about George Kittle, why do we think that he wasn't placed on the IR? I don't think the injury is as bad, but with the type of flying where you can get swelling and things like that to make it worse, I think that's why the team is keeping him back as well. And also saying, okay, well, he's still sore. Will flying cause some more inflammation and take a chance of him not being able to play come Sunday morning? I think they just kind of made a step into the direction and saying, I don't think he can play this week. Let's keep him out. Obviously, he doesn't have to fly. And then if it's good next week, he'll meet up with the team in West Virginia at the Greenbrier Resort and then play against the Giants. So, when you fly with injuries, and it's like injuries, and that's another thing with Ahkello Witherspoon, right? So concussions, you're really not supposed to fly with concussions. Is he been passed to fly as well? And then, injuries to bodies with swelling and things like that, increase in altitude allows your body to swell more. So this could be a reason why they decided to opt out on George Kittle this weekend. Because he even said that if it were at home, George Kittle would have played. So
I don't believe that. I don't.
They give us so much crap, man. They've been a bad job of lying. Go ahead, Tony.
I don't believe that because I think they knew in their head that he wasn't playing the minute he got injured. At the end of that game, they were holding him out because, I think we spoke about this on the after the post game show, overreaction show, and he had 0 targets once he came back from that injury in the second half. 0 targets. He couldn't even block. He was out there mainly as a decoy. And, personally, I would have rather just see him sit and instead of risking further injury. I mean, his knee bent. And, you got to give credit to all his training and his flexibility and all his stretching that didn't tear. He's very fortunate that didn't tear because I've seen guys – where their legs look just like that, and it came back torn. So, I don't think he's playing. Well, obviously, we don't know. We know he's not playing this week, and I don't think he's playing next week either.
Yeah, going back to what you were saying, Tony, is obviously, look. I think if they knew he wasn't going to play this week, they would have pulled him out last week. They wouldn't have kept him in there. It just. The reason that you just can't take that chance on a guy that's that highly paid and that much involved in your offense. You take him out of the game there, I don't know how to say this, but if you don't take him out of the game there, then I think you're kind of comfortable with what the doctor said because he went in the locker room early. So he obviously got checked out and everything else and came back. Right now, we can all agree that he wasn't the same George Kittle on the field.
No,
even before the injury, he wasn't the same George Kittle on the field. His blocking was horrendous. He was getting thrown off blocks the entire game. If you go back and watch the all 22, but The thing about it is if you're going to be safe with him, then you be safe with him. Like if you already knew that he wasn't going to play next week, then you should have just kept him out the entire second half. So I think what a lot of it was to do is he felt good. Yes, there was a chance of it swelling up. See how he feels on Monday or Tuesday. See where it goes. Don't let him practice and see how the swelling is. And I really do think a lot of it has to do with flying. Flying increases, like I said, inflammation in your body. So, I don't know if I agree that they knew last week at that game that he wasn't going to play. I think they were giving it that week to see what was going to happen. And that's not to say you're wrong or you're right. I'm not – this is just my speculation on it. You know what I mean? I think because Kyle Shanahan – Kyle Shanahan and George Kittle both said they were optimistic that he would play, right, in an interview with one of the NFL Network guys. Can't remember who it was.
Silver.
Okay, Mike Silver. Thank you. I couldn't remember who it was.
I told you about believing Mike Silver.
What's that?
Y'all stop believing Mike Silver.
Well, no, but I'm saying this interview was broadcasted, so you've seen it. Like they said, and then Kyle Shanahan came out and said, we're optimistic that he'll play. And I really do think that Kyle Shanahan tells the truth when it comes to we'll see what happens, right? I don't think he holds back. Because he did it he said with Brandon Ayuk, it's a game time decision. Those guys wanted to play. He made a decision not to let them play. So is this a Kyle Shanahan decision? Is this a doctor decision saying, hey, you have the opportunity of him flying, and then obviously a chance of increased swelling, and then you're not sure come game day who's there, and you don't have anybody else there. So why not make the right move right now and say, okay, well, let's say that this happens, the increase in swelling, and not be able to go. Let's just take care of it now and game plan without him and, the other guys that are there.
I just think if they were playing home, whether they're on the road or not, he didn't practice this whole week. And I know, like, John and Kyle keep saying they're very optimistic that he's going to play. Anytime they say that, I don't believe it. I know something's wrong. Once they, I just, from past practice, what they said with previous players, like I remember when McKinnon came back last year and he had the brace on. Oh, we're very optimistic. He's going to be able to get a couple reps in the preseason. My man didn't even make it through one game. He didn't even make it to the game. So you got to take it like a grain of salt. But I mean, you could be right, but I honestly feel that they were not going to play him because they see who they're playing, and in their heads they feel that they could beat this team without Kittle and without risking him. Risking him to further damage. That's what I'm just trying to say. I could be wrong.
I've never heard Shanahan say so many times in a week, he can play without practicing. He can play without practice. It's almost like he's trying to make sure that they prepare for him, knowing that he wasn't going to be out there. Like we talked about how they have to manipulate the media. We've been talking about it all off season. So it's just they don't do that for other players.
But that's the thing. I mean, George Kittle has played a game without practicing an entire week.
Yeah, a lot of players have, but the head coach doesn't go to the microphone and say it repeatedly is my point. So when you're saying it so much, it's almost like, hey, look at this shiny thing I'm saying. Look at this, look at this, look at this.
But I think you got to take in effect as well as the questions that are asked. Right. So our media asks the same questions over and over again. So like whether it's today, whether it's the next day, they're going to ask the same question. Well, so if George Kittle's not practicing today, is he going to play this week? And then he says, well, I have complete confidence in George Kittle and not having to practice to play. And the next day, somebody else comes on and doesn't realize that question was already asked and asks the same question. So a lot of that has to do with the way the questions are asked and who they're coming from. I think because I don't think Kyle Shanahan just means to go up there and just repeat himself as that, but I think he answers the questions as they come to him.
Now, there was also another guy that we didn't discuss yet, and he signed to the team's 53-man roster. This was cornerback Ken Webster from the Miami Dolphins practice squad. Now, Webster is a guy, he's only 5'11", 191. He was originally drafted by the Patriots in the 7th round, 2019. He was waived by the Patriots, and then he was claimed by the Dolphins in 2019. So isn't that where our defensive backs coach is from last year? Yep. So maybe this is a pick that he said, hey, go get this guy. I know him, good work ethic, whatever, and now he's on this team. What do you guys think about that? I'm sorry, let me finish. He went on to appear in 8 games. He had 5 starts, registered 19 tackles for the Dolphins in 2019.
I think he's just going to come in as a depth piece in case someone goes down in the game. I think he's going to be strictly special teams probably this game until he really understands this system, because it is a different system in total than Miami had. I don't really know too much about him, but if he's a handpicked guy by Odin, you kind of got to just roll with it and respect it. But yeah, I see him as a special teams guy, if anything. But now you don't know because with Verrett being labeled as out, we're only down to Mosley, Witherspoon, Dante Johnson. And who's the fourth corner?
Williams.
Well, I mean, outside guy. We don't have another outside guy.
Tarvarius Moore and Jimmy Ward probably.
Well, no, it's either one or the other. They won't.
No, I'm saying those guys can play.
Yeah, I don't think they'll move Ward down. If anything, maybe Tarvarius Moore. But
yeah, I was just saying those guys can play that position if need be.
I don't know, man. They're in a tough spot right now. This team's in.
But,
I don't know.
Just really
Mike,
quick.
to answer your question, we also got to remember that we signed this guy from a practice squad, so he needs to be elevated to the 53. When you sign a guy from a practice squad, they automatically go to your 53.
No,
they can't go. Yeah, no, I'm just saying that's also another thing to look at. It's not like we just activated him and brought him to the 53 because we thought he could do something. I think it's more so that you sign somebody from the practice squad, they need to be on your 53-man roster. So, that's something to look at as well. But not to say that they don't want him here. But, just like the other guy, Brian Allen, he was a free agent. So we could sign him to the practice squad. We didn't need to sign him to the 53. So
yeah.
Right. So therefore, once we sign somebody from a practice squad, they automatically have to be pushed to the 53.
Hey, Bishop, so we're not being repetitive. This will be discussed on the show that's starting in about 15 minutes. So we're not ignoring you. We thank you for the contribution, but we will discuss how the injury will affect the game plan and all. So we're going to get back to that, I promise. All right.
Yeah.
Were there any other roster moves for the 49ers that surprised you guys that you guys felt we need to discuss? Allen is an interesting corner. He's a 6'3" guy who was drafted by the Steelers in 2017. He's appeared in 16 games with only 3 tackles and one of them on special teams. He saw action in a postseason contest with the Steelers, and in 2019 he was waived/injured by the Steelers and then spent time on the Seattle Seahawks practice squad. He then signed a future reserve contract with the Seahawks in January 2020, and then the team waived him on August 10th, and he signed with the Bills. He's been on some really good defenses, I will tell you that. It's not like these are scrub teams that are signing him. These are – listen to the Steelers, Seahawks, Bills. He's been on some really good squads, and now here he is in San Francisco. 6'3" guy. I don't know enough about him. I don't know if any of you guys have any information on him or any thoughts on him, but it's pretty cool to see that the teams that have the good defenses are looking at the same guy.
He's a big dude, 6'3", like you said. He was actually, I think he was a team captain at Utah, and he was part of a pretty decent secondary. The safety was, I want to say Marquette Williams from the Saints. I think he was the safety with Utah that year, and they had a pretty good secondary. Their defense was pretty good that year. I think actually that might have been with – is that the class with Peter T?
Don't get me lying.
In 17?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the same year. He was a part of that defense as well. Utah had a pretty decent defense that year. So,
well, no, I mean, Peter T was drafted in 17.
Yeah, so he played 16. Well, when did Allen?
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand that's college level, but they produced some decent players from that defense in that school. So, listen, it doesn't hurt to take a chance.
The defense was pretty good that year. I think actually.
My bad.
1, 2, 3, not it.
1, 2, 3. It was me.
The hell was I saying?
The defense was pretty good that year. Utah.
Yeah. I don't know. I forgot. I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought. Listen, we're banged up at the cornerback spot, so you take a shot with a player like that.
Yeah. Another guy is Angulo. He's the 6'2" guy. He signed with the Giants as an undrafted free agent this year, and then he was waived by them in August when it was time for the cuts. And we put Harris on the practice squad injury reserve, whatever that means. So maybe he's just injury reserve from the practice squad. That's how they're defining it, maybe. Because he wasn't on the active 53. He was a practice squad guy, so then they put him on the IR from there. Maybe that's what they're talking about. So I'm not sure. When you injure a guy, can't another team sign him with that injury? And if he doesn't, he reverts to your list. Isn't that how it works?
Say that again. If you sign another guy,
No, if a guy is injured,
okay,
and you release him, and another team doesn't pick him up, he reverts to your injured reserve list, right?
yeah. So, for example, the kid Jonathan Kongbo, when they released him, he passed through waivers, no one claimed him, and then he reverted to our injury reserve list, and then they released him on an injury settlement. What that makes me believe was his injury wasn't as bad as they made it seem to stash him on an IR, and he potentially wanted to go play. I don't know, but they pretty much moved on from him pretty quick with a settlement. So maybe he had an opportunity elsewhere, maybe in the CFL or something. I don't know.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's really all we have here. Some more injury news from practice. Nick went down the list of people who return to practice. I'm actually really excited about that. That list of people who return to practice. I can't wait to see Brandon Ayuk. I can't wait to see him. That, you know what I was thinking about, and I probably shouldn't say this now, but that pass to Bourne over Patrick Peterson, with those long ass arms of Ayuk, I think Ayuk, even if he did the same exact thing, probably would have drawn a pass interference because his arms. This is Bourne's arms with Ayuk. It would have looked like this, like he was reaching over Peterson. So I can't wait.
What's he got, an 81 and an eighth or 81 and a half inch?
Yeah, it's over.
Arm spread?
He's got the wingspan of a person who's 6'4". It's nuts.
Yeah, and he's small. You know, man, that every time I watch that play now on the All 22, I just get so angry. I get so angry with that play, man. From both perspectives. But man, that game was definitely winnable, man. There was a lot of chances that we could have won.
Yeah, we'll bounce back.
Yeah, we'll bounce back. And we got the perfect schedule right now to bounce back. And we got to win one game at a time.
We can't overlook anybody. I'm sure this Jets guy that's about to come on this next show is going to make a good case as to why that team has a chance to win. Let me tell you, both these teams look bad week one. They both look bad in week one. So if we come out here playing like this again, well, we'll talk about it on the next show. That's it for us. Well, for me anyway. I don't know if you guys have anything else to say, and we'll get ready to see everybody in 10 minutes.
No, I'm ready to get talking with Ian from Jet Central, and make sure you guys tune in on that because we'll be right back at 8 o'clock.
Over there, get in that chat. He's there right now reading the messages. So go in there and talk some smack, guys. Get them riled up, ruffle those feathers, and be nice though. Don't don't go too far. Let's keep it friendly smack talk. All right, guys. But yeah, we'll see you guys over there, and that's gonna do it for us. We're not even gonna sign out because we'll be right back in 10 minutes. So we'll just check you guys on the other side. Nick, you get to end it this day.
I do what?
I said, go ahead and end it. You get to end this one. I don't even know what to say right now.
Yeah, man. Just check us out in 10 minutes, man. We'll be over there with Jets from Ian from Jet Central. Blah, 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 blah. Can't even talk. I believe Tony's coming back with us. I believe Mike's coming back with us. So head over there, guys. Check us out. We got the crossover edition coming to you for week 2, week 2, New York Jets versus San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah. Will it matter if Ayuk plays with horrible Jimmy G play? We'll talk about it, Mark. We'll talk about it. All right, guys. Like Nick said, we'll see you over there. Peace out.